continuing and I think concluding Caius Gracchus. From Plutarch's Lives, translated by John Dryden, revised by Arthur Hugh Clough. Fulvius, when the people were gathered together in a full body, by the advice of Caius, sent his youngest son into the marketplace, with a herald's rod in his hand, he being a very handsome youth, and modestly addressed himself with tears in his eyes and a becoming bashfulness, offer proposals of agreement to the consul and the whole senate. The greatest part of the assembly were inclined to accept the proposals, but Opimius said that it did not become them to send messengers and capitulate with the senate, but to surrender at discretion to the laws like loyal citizens, and endeavor to merit their pardon by submission. He commanded the youth not to return unless they would comply with these conditions. Caius, it is reported, was very forward to go and clear himself before the senate, that none of his friends consenting to it, Fulvius sent his son a second time to intercede for them as before, but Opimius, who was resolved that a battle should ensue, caused the youth to be apprehended and committed into custody, and then, with a company of his foot soldiers and some Cretan archers, set upon the party under Fulvius. These archers did such execution and inflicted so many wounds that a rout and a flight quickly ensued. Fulvius fled into an obscure bathing house, but shortly after being discovered, he and his eldest son were slain together. Caius was not observed to use any violence against anyone, but extremely disliking all these outrages, retired to Diana's temple. There he attempted to kill himself. Seems like every story, right? But he was hindered by his faithful friends, Pomponius and Licinius. They took his sword away from him and were very urgent that he would endeavor to make his escape, which is more noble than the latter, right? It is reported that falling upon his knee and lifting up his hands, he prayed to Diana that the Roman people, as a punishment for their ingratitude and treachery, might always remain in slavery, for as soon as a proclamation was made of a pardon, the greater part openly deserted him. Caius, therefore, endeavored now to make his escape, but was pursued so close by his enemies as far as the wooden bridge, that from thence he narrowly escaped. There his two trusty friends begged of him to preserve his own person by flight, whilst they in the meantime would keep their post and maintain the passage. Neither could their enemies, until they were both slain, pass the bridge. Caius had no other companion in his flight but one, Philocrates, a servant of his. As he ran along, everybody encouraged him and wished him success, as standers by may do to those who are engaged in a race. But nobody either lent him any assistance or would furnish him with a horse, though he asked for one, for his enemies had gained ground and got very near him. However, he had still time enough to hide himself in a little grove, consecrated to the Furies. In that place, his servant Philocrates, having first slain him, presently afterwards killed himself also. and fell dead upon his master, though some affirm it for a truth that they were both taken alive by their enemies, and that Philocrates embraced his master so close that they could not wound Caius until his servant was slain. They say that when Caius's head was cut off and carried away by one of his murderers, Septi Mallius, Epimius' friend, met him and forced it from him, because before the battle began, they had made proclamation that whoever should bring the head either of Caius or Fulfius should, as reward, receive its weight in gold. Septi Mallius, therefore, having fixed Caius's head upon the top of his spear, came and presented it to Epimius. They presently brought the scales, and it was found to weigh above 17 pounds. But in this affair, Septi Mallius gave as great signs of his knavery as he had done before of his cruelty. For having taken out of the brains, he had filled the skull with lead. There were others who brought the head of Fulfius too, but being mean, inconsiderable persons, were turned away without promised reward. The bodies of these 2 persons, as well as of the rest who were slain, to the number of 3,000 men, were all thrown in the river. Their goods were confiscated, and their widows forbidden to put themselves into mourning. They dealt even more, and as in addition still to all their inhumanity, they barbarously murdered Fulfius' younger son, his only crime being not that he took up arms against them or that he was present in the battle, but merely that he had come with articles of agreement. For this he was first imprisoned, then slain. Yeah, I mean, you're responsible for the, what you take part in, your words of whatever. But but that which angered the common people most was, that at this time, in memory of his success, Epimius built the Temple of Concord, as if he gloried and triumphed in the slaughter of so many citizens. Somebody in the night time, under the inscription of the temple, added this verse: Folly and discord, Concord's temple built. Yet this Epimius the first, who being consul, presumed to usurp the power of a dictator, condemning without any trial, with 3,000 other citizens, Caius Gracchus and Fulfius Flaccus, one of whom had triumphed and been consul, the other far excelled all his contemporaries in virtue and honor, afterwards was found incapable of keeping his hands from thieving. Well, surely he was capable, but did he stop? And sometimes if a person starts doing something wrong, they kind of, it seems like they can't stop, because choices become habits and all that sort of stuff. And when he was sent ambassador to Jugurtha, king of Numidia, he was there corrupted by presents, and at his return, being shamefully convicted of it, lost all his honors, and grew old amidst the hatred and insults of the people, who, though humble and affrighted at the time, did not fail before long to let everybody see what respect and veneration they had for the memory of Gracchi. They ordered their statues to be made and set up in public view. They consecrated the places where they were slain, and thither brought the first fruits of everything, according to the season of the year, to make their offerings. Many came likewise thither to their devotions, and daily worship there, as at the temple. All temples are to what are considered gods or goddesses or god proper or whatever, but maybe the word here is damun. Damun, or daimun, if that's the Greek term. It is reported that as Cornelia, their mother, bore the loss of her true sons with a noble and undaunted spirit, so in reference to the holy places in which they were slain, she said, their dead bodies were well worthy of such sepulchres. She removed afterwards and dwelt near the place called Misenum. Not at all altering her former way of living, she had many friends, and hospitality received many strangers at her house. Many Greeks and learned men were continually about her, nor was there any foreign prince but received gifts from her and presented her again. Those who were conversant with her were much interested when she pleased to entertain them with her recollections of her father Scipio Africanus, and of his habits and way of living, but it was most admirable to hear her make mention of her sons without any tears or sign of grief, and give the full account of all their deeds and misfortunes, as if she had been relating the history of some ancient heroes. This made some imagine that age, or the greatness of her afflictions, had made her senseless and devoid of natural feelings, but they who thought so were themselves more truly insensible not to see how much a noble nature and education avail to conquer any affliction. And though fortune may often be more successful and may defeat the efforts of virtue to avert misfortunes, it cannot, when we incur them, prevent our hearing them reasonably. And certainly an essential thing. That it's not whether your things are well or they're not well, it's how you're responding to them, and therein lies the victory.